那现在呢，我就跟同学们一起看一看，这个美国工厂奥巴马夫妇和这个制片导演的这样一个对谈，讲讲这个故事在奥巴马夫妇和这位导演夫妇他们之间的一个作用。
I want to know, you guys could do whatever you want. Yeah. Starting a couple years ago, pretty much. Why did you decide to do what you're doing? Why did you decide to talk about storytelling?
Well, one way of looking at what we've both been doing for the last, not just 10 years, but the last 20 years, maybe most of our
careers once we left law,
was to tell stories. If you want to be in relationships with people and connect with them and understand them and ultimately work together with them.
You have to know their story. You have to know them. You have to, it's exactly what we do. When we go in to film something, we don't go in with like, this is the story, let's go get it. Right. It's like, okay, there's something going on here in our community. Like this big plant is about to close. Looks bad for our community. Let's just not decide what the story is. Let's just go in there, go to the local bar, find people to talk with, sit and listen to them, have a beer with them. To me, a good film interview is all about creating a relationship.
Yeah, we all have a sacred story in us, right? A story that gives us meaning and purpose and how we organize our lives.
How did you guys get into storytelling?
We just found in each other, I think, a love of curiosity about people, wanting to connect, wanting to be in the world.
那刚才呢，我们看到这个奥巴马夫妇和我们这位导演夫妇呢，就一直在聊，其实我们在做的是同一件事儿。那奥巴马夫妇就解释，其实做总统这个工作呢，也是一种讲故事，因为首先你要听得懂别人的故事，然后你要能把自己的故事讲清楚，来吸引大家能够加入到你的故事，也就是这个美国故事的这个创作中。那我们接下来来看看，这位导演被奥巴马夫妇问及他怎么来讲故事，他讲什么样的故事？我们继续听一下。
Both not wanting to live in a bubble, but like to be out in the real world, and a love of filmmaking.
People like the people I grew up with were not really seen in films. We're not really seen in documentaries, on news, like in the Midwest, in the heartland of America. You didn't hear from those folks. I'm from a working class family. My dad was a union man, and I knew we didn't have to worry about the bills being paid, the lights being shut off. But looking at what I see people around us are now facing, they don't have that.
And we want to give voice to people who don't appear on screen. Working people, their stories, their struggles, their hopes, that should be on screen. Those should be out in the world because they're equally compelling to superheroes.
I mean, those first scenes of, that Midwestern weather and, opening up and seeing the scenes of those folks on the floor in their uniforms. I mean, that was my story. It's my background. That was my father. Mm-hmm. What gave him pride and a sense of purpose was that uniform and that job and that ability to pay the bills and to, send us to college. And that was reflected in this film. But it also connects to the power of telling those stories, to break down all the things that we think keep us apart.
What we always try to do is see everybody's point of view and see that everybody has their reasons. You go to all these different kinds of places. There's two things that you do. One is you try to be yourself, and the other is
you try to connect.
You try to connect. You be yourself, and you try to connect. And you listen, and you...
And leave all those preconceived notions of what's the story, who to follow.
Be with the person. And don't go in with an idea of what it's supposed to be about, because really you're finding that out.
Making people feel like being themselves is okay.
Yeah.
And if people don't see themselves out there, and out there is film, it is movies, it's TV, and it's important for us when we have these platforms is to do our best to put more stories out there.
If you know someone, if you talk to them face to face, if you know what their story is, you can forge a connection. You may not agree with them on everything, but there's some common ground to be found, and you can move forward together.
那么奥巴马夫妇跟这个导演夫妇他们都认同呢，去理解别人的故事非常重要。同时呢，我们也把我们的自己的故事跟他们的故事结合起来，才能达到最好的效果。所以我觉得做研究和我们这个导演和奥巴马夫妇讲的事情是同样的事情，就是当你在做一个研究的时候，你其实也在把别人的故事讲出来。你要给他们怎么样的尊重？你们要给他怎样的声音？你自己的故事跟这个故事的关系，它是怎样结合的？我觉得这些都是我们每一个研究者需要考虑的事情。因为如果不考虑这一些，价值观方面的事情呢，可能你的研究并不能做得长久。那就希望大家都可以想一想，你的研究的故事是什么？你的故事是什么？这两者之间的关系是什么？谢谢大家。